Hello, and welcome to a deep dive into something I think many of you learning English know all too well.
That moment you freeze up.
Exactly. When
Yeah.
you try to speak and it's like, poof, your mind goes blank. The words you know just vanish.
Mhm. You're just left standing there in silence. It's really common.
And frustrating. But it's not just learners, is it? I mean, even fluent speakers sometimes hit that wall.
Oh, absolutely. It affects loads of people. So, yeah, it's a widespread thing.
So our mission today in this deep dive is to really get into why this happens. What's going on in our heads.
And crucially, how to get past it. We want to give you some practical steps you can actually start using.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What exactly do we mean by freezing when we talk about speaking English?
Well, basically, freezing is that point in a conversation where your brain just seems to, short circuit.
Like hitting a wall?
Exactly. You might have practiced, you might know the vocabulary, but when you open your mouth, nothing. The words just aren't there.
I've definitely felt that, even just trying to remember someone's name sometimes. Can you give us some examples? Like, when does this typically hit English learners?
Sure. It can pop up in really surprisingly ordinary situations.
Like
Introducing yourself.
Yeah.
Or maybe trying to ask a simple question, even ordering food.
Oh, yeah. Ordering coffee can be surprisingly stressful.
Right. And often, you've maybe even rehearsed it in your head. You know what you want to say.
But then the moment comes.
And it feels like your brain just gets overloaded or something. And you freeze.
So it's important to remember it's not necessarily about how good your English is overall.
Not at all. It's more like a temporary mental glitch, a roadblock.
Okay, that's actually kind of reassuring. So it's not always lack of knowledge. Something else is hitting pause. Let's dig into the why then. What are the common reasons this happens?
Well, it's usually not just one thing. Often it's a combination, but a really big one is the fear of making mistakes.
Ah, yes. The classic.
Yeah. Learners worry so much about getting the grammar perfect or the pronunciation just right or using the wrong word.
That the worry itself just stops them.
Exactly. It triggers hesitation, maybe a stammer, or sometimes just complete silence.
Oh.
And if you've had bad experiences before, like being corrected harshly.
That just makes the fear worse, I bet.
Definitely. It reinforces it.
Okay, fear of mistakes makes total sense.
Right.
What else contributes to getting stuck like that?
Another key thing is just mental processing time.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're thinking in your native language and then trying to translate that into English in real time, that takes serious brain power.
Right. It's a lot of cognitive load.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes your brain just gets a bit overwhelmed by that translation process. It leads to those delays, that feeling of searching for words that just won't come.
Like your internal translator is buffering.
Kinda, yeah. Buffering under pressure.
What about like cultural stuff or just differences between languages? Does that play a role?
That's a really good point. Sometimes you hesitate because you're not sure if what you're about to say is, culturally okay, or if the tone is right.
So navigating politeness or appropriateness.
Exactly. That uncertainty about those subtle rules can definitely cause you to pause, maybe second guess yourself and then freeze up.
It's like you're trying to juggle social cues and grammar at the same time. What about other pressures?
Social pressure is huge. Speaking in front of people, especially maybe in a more formal setting or with native speakers.
Yeah, that can definitely crank up the anxiety.
For sure. And it's worth saying again, even really fluent speakers feel this sometimes. Performance anxiety, stage fright. It's a similar feeling.
So it's not just a learner thing. That's good to know. What about how we see ourselves? Does confidence or lack of it matter?
Oh, absolutely. Low confidence is a major factor if you just don't believe you can communicate well in English.
You start expecting problems.
Pretty much. You worry about being misunderstood or sounding silly or just not being good enough. And that self-doubt makes it way more likely you'll freeze when you actually try to speak.
It's like you psych yourself out before you even start. And what about the simple practical thing of just not having the word?
Yes. Lack of vocabulary is a very direct cause. You know exactly what you want to say in your own language.
But the English word isn't there. Or maybe the right way to phrase it.
Right. And your brain hits that block while it's frantically searching for the missing piece.
Wow. Okay, so there are quite a few potential triggers. Fear, processing time, culture, pressure, confidence, vocabulary. It feels like more than just a language problem, though. What's actually happening inside our heads?
You're absolutely right. It's not purely linguistic. It's deeply tied to our emotions and even our bodies.
How so?
Well, when you feel nervous or stressed, your brain can flip into that fight, flight, or freeze mode.
The survival instinct thing?
Exactly. It's a basic survival mechanism. When your brain thinks there's a threat,
It reacts like we're facing a tiger, even if it's just asking for directions.
sorta, yeah. Obviously, speaking English isn't life-threatening, but the stress can be interpreted as a danger signal by the brain.
Okay.
So when that happens, the parts of your brain needed for like clear thinking and language processing, they can temporarily take a back seat.
And the emotional parts take over.
Mm-hmm. The amygdala, the emotional center, gets more active. And that's why you might feel physical stuff too. Heart racing, sweaty palms.
And the mind going blank.
Exactly. That blankness is part of the freeze response. It's an automatic reaction to stress. It's not your fault.
That's really important to understand. It's biological.
It is. But the good news is, with practice, your brain can learn that speaking English isn't actually a threat. You can get more comfortable, less reactive.
Okay, so knowing all this, the why, the brain stuff, what can we actually do about it? What are some strategies to beat the freeze?
Right, the practical side.
Yeah.
There are definitely things you could do. One immediate tactic, when you feel it happening, just slow down.
Slow down your speaking.
Yeah. When we're anxious, we often speed up, right?
Yeah.
Which just makes the brain work harder.
True.
So taking a deep breath, consciously speaking a bit slower, it gives your brain that extra processing time that can really help. And it often makes you sound more confident too.
Okay, slow down. That feels achievable. What about regular practice?
Absolutely essential. Practice speaking out loud regularly,
Yeah.
even if you're alone.
Like talking to yourself.
Yeah. Read something aloud, repeat phrases, just narrate what you're doing in English.
Right.
It gets your brain and your mouth used to forming the sounds and sentences. It builds that pathway.
Makes sense. Making it feel more normal, less like a big performance.
Exactly. Another really useful thing is creating mental scripts.
Mental scripts, like lines for a play.
Sort of. For common situations, ordering food, asking for directions, introductions, think about what you'd likely say beforehand.
Ah, so you prepare some phrases.
Right. It reduces the amount of thinking you have to do in the moment, which lowers the stress.
That's smart. Like having a little toolkit ready. What if you're just feeling generally anxious before you even have to speak?
Yeah, managing that background anxiety helps. Relaxation techniques can be great.
Like deep breathing, meditation.
Exactly. Things like deep breathing, maybe some simple meditation, even visualization. Picturing yourself speaking calmly. Doing these regularly can help calm your whole system down.
So it's mind and body preparation.
Definitely. And then, in the conversation itself, remember that pauses are okay.
It feels awkward sometimes, though, doesn't it? Silence.
It can, but it's normal. Native speakers pause to think all the time. You don't have to fill every single millisecond. Taking a moment to gather your thoughts is perfectly fine.
Good reminder. Silence isn't failure. What about that inner voice, the self-critic?
Well, that needs managing too. Practice positive self-talk.
Like what?
When you feel that freeze starting, consciously tell yourself, it's okay. Mistakes are normal. I'm learning. I can do this. Affirmations like that can genuinely boost your confidence right when you need it.
Be your own cheerleader, basically.
Exactly. And finally, maybe the most important thing, acknowledge your progress. Celebrate the wins,
Even small ones.
especially small ones. Every time you do speak, even if it's just a short sentence, even if it felt imperfect, recognize that you did it. You faced the challenge. That keeps you motivated.
These are all really practical. Thank you. It helps to see the path forward. Can we talk about some like real world scenarios
Yeah.
to make it even clearer how common this is?
Absolutely. Let's think about a student. Knows the answer, teacher calls on them.
And bam, mind blank.
Yeah. Heart pounds, memory just evaporates. They might just mumble, I don't know, even though they did.
So I can't picture that.
Or someone at a cafe, maybe on holiday, they practice their order. Can I have a large latte with oat milk, please?
Sounds simple enough.
But they get to the counter, feel the pressure, and it all just disappears. They end up pointing and saying, like, ugh, coffee, big.
Right. Resorting to the absolute basics out of panic. Oh, what else?
Maybe a job interview in English. Starts okay, but then the fear of sounding unprofessional or making a mistake kicks in.
And they freeze mid-answer.
Exactly. Or think about being in a group chat, maybe with native speakers. You understand everything. You even have good ideas.
But you stay silent.
Yeah. Because you're worried about interrupting or messing up the grammar or just not saying it right. So you just listen.
These are all so relatable. It shows it's really just part of the learning curve, isn't it?
It really is. And facing these situations, using the strategies, slowly makes them easier to handle. Practice makes progress.
He is reassuring. But what happens if someone freezes a lot? Does it have a longer term effect?
It can, unfortunately. If it happens frequently, it can lead to avoidance.
Meaning you just stop trying to speak.
Yeah, you might shy away from situations where you need to use English. And obviously, if you avoid speaking.
You don't get the practice you need to improve.
Exactly. It can become a bit of a cycle. Less practice, less confidence, more freezing, more avoidance.
A negative loop.
But there's another way to look at it. You could see those moments of freezing as a sign that you're actually pushing yourself. You're stepping outside your comfort zone.
Like growing pains.
Kind of. That discomfort often comes right before you make progress. It means you're challenging yourself, which is essential for learning.
So don't let the freeze make you quit. See it as a sign you're on the edge of learning something new.
Precisely. It's often part of the journey towards a breakthrough.
Wow. Well, this has been incredibly enlightening, really understanding the why behind freezing and getting such concrete how-tos for overcoming it. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's a really important topic for learners.
Absolutely. And for all of you listening, the key takeaway seems to be, this is normal. It happens.
And you can overcome it. Understand why it happens, use these strategies, slow down, practice, be kind to yourself.
Celebrate every small step forward. Keep challenging yourself, knowing these sticky moments are often paving the way for real progress.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Keep going, keep practicing. You've got this.